Last week, President Cyril Ramaphosa, in his capacity as the ANC president, praised those who've come forward to lift the lid of corruption allegations linked to state capture. Ramaphosa said once they blow the whistle, they are subjected to enormous pressures. And for the former CEO of Trillian Financial Advisory, Mosilo Mothepu, she found herself at the heart of the state capture battle. Mothepu stepped up to talk about what was really going on, and in her new book, titled Uncaptured, and that's the reason I was tripping on that word, Uncaptured, the true account of the Nenegate Trillian whistleblower. She recounts some important moments in her life. Joining me now to unpack the issues there is the author, Mosilo Mothepu. Mosilo, thank you for joining me. We've had this conversation before, you and I, about your role in exposing the goings-on at Trillian at the time when you were there. But just talk to me about this book. How important was it for you to tell your story in the form of a book?
Good afternoon to Lasizwe. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and good afternoon to your viewers as well. Yes, it's been a while since we last chatted, and now, as you can say, I'm a published author, Uncaptured. I have to say that it's in the top 10 exclusive books, so I'm very, very grateful for South Africans to support me. I wanted to write my story to essentially give a true account of what it takes to be patriotic, what it takes to be brave enough to speak truth to power, in as much as it was not fashionable at the time. And just to enlighten South Africans that it's a sacrifice. There was a lot of backlash after I submitted my statement to the public protector. Criminal charges ensued, and corporate South Africa treated me like a leper, and they still do till today. And the legislation is inadequate. So my story is about my journey of bravery met by persecution and betrayal. But there were other pockets of miracles that helped me along the way. For example, PLAF, as I told you last time, are still supporting me with regards to my legal bills. And I was given a contract at MTN for 2 years, which allowed me just to have a little breathing space. And Rob Shooter was very, very generous that it allowed me not to work for a year so I could heal and write my book. But for me, I feel like we keep having the same conversation with regards to the inadequacies of the legislation and what more needs to be done to protect whistleblowers. I was very encouraged when the president was at the Zondo Commission last week, and he was commending whistleblowers as brave, patriotic men and women. And I'm glad that he has come to the reality that institutions are weaponized against us. We have frivolous court cases against us, which are designed to bankrupt us. Sure. The legislation is adequate. We lose our livelihoods. Some of us have had to lose houses, cars, change children from school. Luckily, I'm not in that bracket because I've had amazing people in my walk who have assisted me. But there are many other whistleblowers, to Lasizwe, who don't have the limelight like I do, and they've lost everything.
Mosilo,
so for me...
So let me come in there just in the interest of time. When someone picks up the book, as you say, which is in the top 10 at exclusive books, to what extent will we get to walk the journey with you? You mentioned being treated like a leper by corporate South Africa and the financial toll, but to what extent do you, let us in on the emotional journey, the mental health journey as well, because you needed to be mentally strong in the wake of, the pressure that you came under?
To Lasizwe, when I decided to write this book, I decided to give a raw account. So I talk about my Damascus moment when I met the Red Sea and I decided to tell the truth. I talk about my insomnia. I talk about my depression and being disappointed with corporate South Africa. I talk about my nervous breakdown, the fact that I was twitching for some time and I was shaking. I talk about being diagnosed with chronic depression and post-traumatic stress disorder and insomnia. I talk about wine for breakfast because I'd wake up in the morning, have nothing to do, and I'd open my fridge and I'd ask, what should I do for the next 8 hours? So, and then I'll just have wine for breakfast to numb my pain. I take them through into my heart. There's nothing that is off key there.
Yeah.
I've exposed myself, but not only of the pain, but also the joy of seeing that my contribution has led to at least focusing on the corrupt entities that were involved in stealing our country, but also realizing that that South Africa needs people who are tired of the status quo, and we have to sacrifice ourselves.
Yeah.
So that this country has to change.
Mosilo Mothepu.
So,
yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, I'm completely out of time. She is the whistleblower who was at Trillian at the time of Nenegate. Remember that? Also known as 9/12. Well, around that time, around the replacement of Nhlanhla Nene by the former President Jacob Zuma, went on to, write to the public protector, but also deliver testimony at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. She's got a book out, and you can read all about it. I mean, the description that she gives there certainly sounds like it's something that I would want to dig into and hear a bit more of her story.